Good evening. Welcome to the Churchill County Planning Commission Workshop. It's August 22nd, 6:30 p.m. We'll be starting the meeting. The agenda, we'll call the meeting to order. Second item will be public comment. No public comment. Third item, verification and posting of the agenda. Thank you. Item 4, consideration, possible action, approval of the agenda as submitted or revised. Just make a motion, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, Jeff Goings, for the record, I move that we approve the agenda as submitted or revised.
The motion's been made. All those in favor? Aye and aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, discussion item. Updates from the representatives regarding accomplishments, proposed activities, events, and major projects. If you are here to report on your company or group, come one at a time up to the table and turn on the microphone and give your spiel, and we'll go from there. And whoever wants to go first. Okay, so just come on up. We'll get you going right now, and we'll make you the first person. So you'll just take a seat there and you'll pull the microphone up close to your mouth. There's a little microphone button there, and you'll push it or tap it and it'll turn green. And you just state your name and what company you're with, and then you sort of provide us with the update of what's going on, and we go from there.
Hi, my name is Laura Imes, and I'm with Fallon Tribal Economic Development. I am the new economic director, and I just, I was invited to come through email, and I just wanted to start out, working with the county and stuff. We're planning to start moving with our 35-acre over by Fox Peak store. And we're just going to start looking there. And then we have the Fox Peak and Fernley that we're going to develop also in other places. But the main focus is there at the 35 acres. And then we're going to start probably, I think we're going to look at some of the paving of the roads there. And we have different plans and stuff that we have. But we're meeting with the board tomorrow to start figuring out which architecture development we're going to probably go with. So
Okay.
That about sums it up for me.
So do you know the plans for the development of the land there by Fox Peak? Is it just retail
It's
space?
retail. We want some different stores. It's whoever wants to come and lease. It's open to anyone, and the leasing could go up to 99 years if possible, if they want to.
Okay.
But I was there before. I also worked a long time ago for Churchill Economic Development with
Okay.
Shirley Walker
Uh-huh.
and stuff. And so just trying to get it started and get moving, trying to get some new development here.
Okay.
And on that side of town, hopefully.
Yep. Do you have an anchor store or anything that you're
What?
talking, like an anchor store?
Oh, yeah, we have Fox Peak Fallon. That's our anchor store
Okay.
there.
Okay, everything will be revolved around.
And then we have Fox Peak Cinema too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, but we're looking right now, and just hopefully we'll start getting someone. So if you know anyone, who may want to develop or come, have them give me a call. I have my cards. You want me to just leave them on the
Yep,
table?
just leave them there, and Dean will take them for the office desk, I guess. Don't get up. And how much land do you have in Fernley that you may be developing?
We have 1.32 acres. That's right by the Fox Peak in Fernley. It's called Fox Peak Fernley. So it's like right in front of the store. We have like a small parcel and stuff. And
Okay.
so if someone wants there. And then we do have, I guess, 7-something acres, I think, in Mound House too. So.
All right.
And we're sort of looking at that to build another Fox Peak probably store. So those are some current
Just keep
possible
it going.
developments. Yeah, we're going to start moving along. They haven't had a director moving as hard or the direction, so I just want to get the word out. We want to work with you and everything, And then I know that one back road before, I think the city and the county, they were talking about, I think it was Ada Street there in the back. We are talking about possibly when we start paving that, we might be working together with, I'll call you and find out, because years back, they said that, you know, if we decided to do that, everyone might pitch in to help do that, because that'll be a good way to alleviate a lot of the traffic. That way they could just go straight behind the cinema.
Mm.
And,
8th Street connected to
Yep. Yeah.
Sherman.
And that way, that'd be a good access too, so everyone was sort of for that one too.
Okay.
So those are some of the plans. I'm gonna start looking at grants and stuff and see possibly what other resources we have for building that road.
Jeff Goings for the record. Any timeline, when do you expect to break ground, or are you still in the planning stage?
We're just planning. I'm 3 weeks old for coming there, but I want to get to know you guys, start maybe working with you if, you know, my door and phone's always open, and, you know, I just want to try and work and make something for our community that everybody wants. I don't want to put something that, you know, people don't want and stuff. You know, I want good vibes and stuff, and being able to build a relationship with you guys is the first step.
All right. Do you have anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, thank you for coming in. Oh, sorry, just a minute. Mr. Patterson?
Hi, Dean Patterson, Planning Department for the record. I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about like residential behind the cinema. Is that still in the
Yes,
works?
that's still there. It's still there.
Oh,
We
okay.
have the laid out architecture that we have, but, you know, that always can be changed. Everything can be
Sure.
changed. So we were looking at that. There's like units in the back, and then I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that they were thinking on the one side of the cinema, possibly building a clinic, but that's still in the beginning phases and stuff, and still being worked on that. But on the other side, we were looking at the residential buildings, and possibly in front of that, having a building for medical, like for build a structure, so that way maybe it could house Banner doctors, something, so they can work there, and if something happens, they can race over and, you know, go to work at Banner, and then their offices would be right there. Sort of something there too, just different things and stuff. And then maybe like in front of the cinema, there's different plans, like a park, and with like, you know, sort of like shields where they have the water fountain going up, maybe something with that, trees, benches, something where people can go and sit and rest. Probably my plans are, I would love to see, you know, these are dreams, of course, we call it, where we have like retail and food outlets there, and then probably have like outside seating, and, you know, to drive along. I don't know if you've ever been to Boise, to the mall inside there where they have all the malls around, and then they can drive through. It's like a maze, and then they have like bands outside, you know, little concert areas. You know, it's just something to grow something for the people and the public. And then also I'm looking at working with the city and county and stuff, planning on sort of like, you know, they do in Reno, a Food Truck Friday. Get all sorts of vendors, the farmer's market, different food trucks there, and working with you guys, of course, and having like a Saturday night event and the food trucks, and have maybe some bands, and just have a family night out there, you know, just something nice to walk around and have lights and seating and stuff for. But that's probably in maybe a couple months or a month or so, maybe planning and stuff. But, you know, that's something that we're sort of thinking about doing. You know, that's sort of my idea, and everyone's sort of with that, and sort of, that way they can go to the movies or go to a food truck, have different food varieties, something for the people to go out and do besides, you know, do something else, like, you know, they go to the movies or go uptown. It brings us more down this way, because everything is out that way. I want to bring the focus more down here, more downtown. I mean, they can walk from there, and they can walk downtown, check out stuff in town, you know, just different stuff. Maybe work with you guys to, like, when you do your street events on Main Street, sort of. But yeah, it's a slow process, but, you know, we want to get started somewhere, so. That it.
Thank you. Is anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next guest,
Or victim.
victim.
I think we're paying this up here.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm CL Quillen. I'm the new director of the Churchill County Library. I've been here since the very end of April, so I guess about 4 months now. Put together some handouts just of what we've been doing. Not really, I know that there's some plans that have been in place for expanding, and that's certainly something that we'd like to do in the future, but I haven't been here long enough to feel like I want to start tackling that project just at the moment. I want to make sure that I've got a good feel for what's currently going on, because I know the plans are a little bit old, and what the community's needs and wants are from the library. We definitely do need some additional space. Our programs are popular, and sometimes, we had an event on the 11th, our Books, Bites, and Beverages program, and with 80 people in the library and tables and things set up, it's challenging. Things had to be pushed out of the way so that we could utilize the space, and that's difficult, and it's just a challenging space to work with. But we are doing some great stuff. We're continuing with a lot of the things that we've been doing, our story times, our computer help, our STEAM programs, 3D printing, all of those kinds of things. We've just recently started an elementary book club, a teen library council. We're adding stop motion animation to some of the virtual reality and things that we're doing. We have a legal kiosk that people can come in and use that will guide them through forms and things that they need for various types of legal concerns. They can also do a Zoom call if they need to through that kiosk. We've started a library newsletter. We just rolled out a new database for crafting, which I think is going to be very popular. And going forward, since I've been there, we received a $6,000 grant from the American Library Association in conjunction with AT&T to provide some additional digital literacy programs. And we've actually done one program at the Tribe. We have another one scheduled. Plus, we're continuing to expand what we're doing at the Senior Center and within the library. Hoping to add some adult programming, because that's something that we've been a little bit deficient in. And hoping to also add a library of things, which is where people can come in and check out items as opposed to, books and movies and those kinds of things that don't necessarily get a lot of use or that people want to try out. Cake pans that are very specific, metal detectors, kilowatt meters, things like that, you don't necessarily need all the time, but they're nice to have once in a while, and telescopes, binoculars, different things like that. So that's where we're headed right now. Looking forward to working with y'all, and, eventually hope to expand the library. We have the lot between us and the library annex, and it'd be great to have a meeting room space that was, that could accommodate a larger program.
Okay. Do you find that you have quite a bit of participation at the library? There's a good flow of people always filtering through?
There is a
So
good
it's
flow.
definitely needed,
Yes.
and a bigger one is needed.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
And do we see a lot of kids there?
We do. We had about 600 people participate in our summer reading program this summer. Our STEAM programs on Fridays are always packed with kids. Being as close as we are to the middle school, we've always got kids coming over after school, participating in activities, reading, being on the computer, hanging out on our front porch.
Okay. So a good place to be.
Yes.
I'm curious about this other program that you were discussing, the checkout of of actually is that a popular thing amongst libraries now? Is this something new? Where are we at here? I've never heard of that before.
Sure. It's been going on probably for 5 or 10 years in libraries around the country. And it's really a variety of things. I mean, I've seen libraries check out things like GoPro cameras, all kinds, some of them, and I have no plans to do this, but there are some libraries that even check out power tools. You know, they lend hotspots, laptop computers, all of those kinds of things. So I think there's a need for it. You know, at least the people that I know in libraries, and I've worked in libraries for about 25 years, are finding that it's very successful, and people are really enthusiastic and excited about the opportunity to, and a lot of times, try something out, or, you know, something like a cake pan, you know, maybe baby's first birthday, you've got to train, how many times are you going to use that, or, you know, something else along those kinds of lines. Yeah.
Chris Ross for the record. Just a question more out of curiosity than anything.
Sure.
With some of these items that you're talking about, GoPros, laptops, things like that, those are obviously items that have a considerable amount of value.
Yes.
So would you be requiring, or other libraries that you know of, do they require a deposit for that sort of thing, or is it all based on your library card and good faith?
It is based on your library card and good faith. I mean, we'd like to start small and see how it goes, you know, and not get into some of the more expensive things
Right.
just yet. But that's definitely a possibility, and we want to be responsive to what the community's needs are, and, you know, poll them to find out what kinds of things that they'd like. But we're currently offering a pass for the state parks. It'd be great to be able to offer people binoculars or a telescope to go along with something like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, this is very nice, and you can leave the brochures here and
Sure.
distribute them as you want, and then maybe Dean may want some for the counter at the office, maybe. And thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. No, I just created this for you guys, so.
It's special. Thank you so much. Our next guest, please come forward.
Hello. My name is Michelle Rambo. I am the new planning director over at the City of Fernley. Like the other two, I am brand new. I've only been there since June. So we got a lot going on. Still trying to kind of figure out what we're doing and where everything is. So let's see. We got industrials. We got lots of residential going on. We're just now going to be starting on an area plan for the north side of town, north of the freeway. And then we're also going to start on another one here soon for the south side of town to get those better planned out for future development. Do you guys have any questions? I could go on forever if I really wanted to, but
Well, we would just like for you to, anything that you find pertinent to, you know, update our side of the county, or, you know, we enjoy listening. Couple things that's on my mind is the city of Fernley, have they determined if by TCID lining that canal is going to be detrimental to the groundwater supply there? And then how soon do you think the road's coming that's going to intersect the Fox Peak area from the interstate, I guess?
as far as the canal is concerned, there has been some issues with the wells. Mark Amadei has been in contact with the mayor to maybe work out some strategies on how to deal with that. I haven't been involved in those conversations too much, so I don't have a whole lot of detail. But we are also looking for some grant opportunities, maybe to help with digging deeper wells, and working with the Bureau of the BOR. Thank you. Too many acronyms. Working with the BOR to get a better result. As far as Fox Peak, I don't know about that. I haven't heard that one.
Jeff Billings, record. Curious on those wells, are you talking about individual wells, or are we talking about now pulling those individual wells that are having issues, bringing them into the community well system? I mean, the community water system, is that what, so when you're talking about going deeper, are we talking about the community wells, or are we talking about the individual people's wells?
Individual wells.
Individual wells.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have the infrastructure right now to connect most of those people to the city water supply. Hopefully that'll be coming in future years, but right now, we're just talking individual wells.
Do you have any idea of how many people are actually impacted by that?
We're trying to find out. We're going to be starting kind of a public service awareness kind of thing. You know, we want people to come in and tell us if their wells have been impacted. They're still working out the particulars of how they're going to do this, but we want to get facts. We want to get information from people on, you know, how many people are affected, how much it's affecting them, so that we could take that information. Mark Amadei has asked for that as part of what he's doing for his efforts.
That seems to be a pretty big struggle over there. That's why I was curious about some of this, because I don't even think you've seen the impact yet when we're basically 6 months into a dry, and we had a wet season. I'm just wondering how long of a period they're going to be looking at that, because I think in probably 2 to 3 years, you're going to really see some impacts from that, especially on those residential outlying areas there.
Yeah, we're already seeing some, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's just going to get worse.
Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, Dean Patterson for the record. We've been seeing a lot of activity, like especially with the Fernley Business Park, which is just on our side of the county line, and a lot of permit activity, but also some in Hazen too. So I was wondering if you folks are seeing things on that side of the county line close to Hazen.
We've had a couple people come in and have some conversations, but nothing for sure yet. There's one group that may want to partner with the city on some grant funding, but that's going to be out in the future, probably a year or so-ish. But as of right now, we don't have anything firm going on.
Chris Browse for the record, and I apologize, I didn't hear, you're with the city of Fallon. What's your position with the city? Sorry? Sorry, Fernley.
Fernley,
What's your-
planning director.
Planning director, okay, so that was going to be my question. I know that there was some turnover that was going on there, and I know that Tim had left, and so we do have communication between our two departments, so at least now we know who we can talk to. Thank you.
Yep, and I didn't bring any business cards with me. I should have done that, but I'll leave you with my information before.
And is it on the website already?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
perfect. That's all we need.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to update us with your community?
No, I think covered everything.
And the residential permits for new homes are still just moving right along?
Still going crazy.
And it hasn't slowed down? That's good.
Yeah.
And a lot planned? Okay.
Yeah, we got several, and a lot of older subdivisions that kind of died are coming back to life. So we're getting a lot of activity in some older stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Welcome to the new job, and hope you do great.
Thank you.
Next guest, please come forward. Hi.
I'm Darrell Parsons. I'm superintendent of the Churchill County School District, and I guess it's everybody's first time here. So
It is.
I'm the same.
And congratulations on your new job, or new career there.
Thank you. I've been here a long time in Churchill County, but this is my first time doing this. I got a couple weeks on Laura there, just a few though. And so I was instructed I should come here tonight and give you an update on some of our district things and trying to figure out exactly how it fits in and what things we're looking for. But as you probably know, we did get back to school last week, and as of Monday, we had kindergarten and preschool in session too, so we're fully back. With that, we're working, and this is one of the main things that we're going to continue to work on is our transportation system and making that work. We are using technology to try and help and inform parents so that hopefully we don't have kids waiting out on county roads for a long time for buses. Parents can now access information, and it gives them an update on where their bus is. So we use GPS tracking on the buses to provide that information through an app called Stop Finder. It's the first time we've used it, so it is new to us, and we are working the bugs out. And there have been several bugs. The second day of school, their servers went down. So we're working on that, but we're trying to work and accommodate every parent request. And as you're probably well aware, we don't have enough bus drivers, so we're trying to maximize our capacity on our buses, and that makes it difficult. So we have several buses over 95% capacity, and realize that when they figure the capacity of a bus, say it's an 84 passenger bus, that's like 84 first and second graders. And we have high school kids and everything, so normally you look at about 75% of capacity is what you can actually fit. But we're getting them there, and we're making adjustments every day and trying to decrease that time. And part of that is too, we're looking to make sure we have the safest routes with our kids. And one thing that we are going to be working on, one of my goals that I know we've looked at for years, but we're going to continue looking at and see if we can come up with solutions for what changes we can make to get our drop-off and access in and out of our schools better, our elementary schools especially, because if you have kids, you've gone through that, and that takes a long time. And there's a lot of people through very narrow roads and things. So that's something that we will be looking at doing. We don't have plans yet, but we're looking at it, and that's one of my personal goals, trying to help that, because that is always an issue, and I think it can become a safety concern if we don't, I think, get things better for that. This year, we did have a big project that we finished, was we were able to lay a new track in at the high school. So that was all replaced, and that was quite an expensive project, but that was good. It should last and give us some really good events there for many years to come, because we are actively seeking after any NIAA events that are available to us to bring here to our community. And so we're through that process that they have of the athletic directors seeking those out. We're given the direction that we're trying to seek out everyone that we can, because we do have really nice facilities, and we have often have other schools that comment on that and that like coming here simply because our facilities are so nice compared to some of the others. One thing that we will be doing is, being a new superintendent, I'm going to be working on updating our strategic plan, which will set our goals and things that we're going for the future. So you'll be seeing, and we'll be soliciting input from the public, from parents and members of the public over the next several months to help us in that process, so that as we make plans early next spring for the next year, that all that's been included. Also, in our planning commission, I will say we are short-staffed, and I know one of the issues that we have, and I know everybody is working on it, is one of the difficulties we have is getting people in, and as you're well aware, finding places to live. We still have a lot of people that do live in Fernley, or new people that we've hired that have had not been able to find things here, and we just know that's an issue here, and I appreciate the work that has been done on that. So that's what I prepared, not knowing what all we needed for sure, but if you have questions or any of the other things that you have for me, I'm glad to answer those.
Okay, it's just really a state of your, being, and what your goals that you have set aside, and future projects, and like you said, projects that you've completed. Do you see the school district growing? Is the amount of students going back up, or is it declining, or?
We're roughly the same right now. It takes about 3 weeks into the year to get a good number, because especially where we've started a little bit earlier than other districts. So we usually find, especially after Labor Day, that we often have an influx of kids that are starting because they come from somewhere, or they're just moving here. A lot of districts don't start till after that time. And so right now we're running about the same as we were last year, so we could be slightly increased. We do think, and one thing that we're trying to plan for is that some of the things that have been talked about, that read about in some developments going to bring more housing in, at that point in time, we would expect that we'll probably see some growth, and it could be even fairly significant growth. So we're trying to really assess our facilities and things and see what we need to do.
Do you think the existing campuses have room for growth?
there is room for growth. One of our schools is only used as a preschool. We only utilize part of the school during the year. So at Northside, we use it for after-school tutoring and things like that in the back, but we have a lot of empty classrooms there. The other schools, I think most of them are utilizing almost every room, but we do still have some room, and if we had to structure a little bit differently, we could accommodate quite a few more students.
Back to your transportation issues, which I'm sure is probably a thorn, but I'm curious, how far, where are these kids being bused from? Are they typically bused within the city? Are they busing from school to school? Or most of your load residential that's lying outside of city limits? Where are we at with that?
So our current policy is that if, within city limits, high school kids, so ninth grade and up, they walk within city limits. Middle school kids are able to bus if they're a half mile from the middle school. So we have about 6 or 8 stops within the city. And elementary kids, they're like a quarter mile. They're pretty close for the elementary kids. And so that is one of our issues, is we have a significant number within the city that, because kind of how we're spread out a little bit, that do that. We are looking at that because we've been unable to, we have 2 more drivers this year than we had last year, but we're still rolling in with our buses at capacity, so we may have to change that. We are one of the, I think that in all the districts that we've looked at, I think we have the shortest walking zone. We bus kids closer to school than most other places. But one of the reasons we do that is, grade level schools and safety. Most of our schools, say EC Best and Numa, you've got to go across a state road there in Harrigan, which is a state road. So there's not easy, safe walking paths, I would say, for the kids to get to all the places. And so we had a meeting about that earlier this week or yesterday, and so we're trying to look at some ways to try and make that safer, because I've noticed, just from my experience, I don't have the data or numbers to show up, but I think since we changed our schools around and we do that, like at Newman and EC Best, we don't have nearly as many kids walking. And I think part of that is there's a lot of housing at EC Best, but it's there's some in that area, but then you go across the highway. When you go across the highway and have to come across there, even though there's now a 15-mile-an-hour zone, a lot of parents try to avoid that, especially with younger kids. And we're talking second, third, fourth. And fourth and fifth graders, there's a little bit more of it. As they, still at that age, it's still tough to get there on that. And the middle school and high school, and there are some areas as we look to, like how the city boundaries go, when you get out like around Stillwater or those apartments. I can't think of the name, I've been saying it all day, but some of the apartments that are out, because and especially out off Rio Vista, that's city in there. So that walking is not a very convenient path for that, because you've got to go, still you have that highway in the way.
One other thing, and this is just more of an observation I had, we took a very long traveling vacation this year, and I noticed in a couple of school districts that it looks to me as though they're contracting their school busing. The bus system is contracted through a contractor and not through the school system. Has that ever been looked into, or it obviously, I think it presents some problems, but it also could present some solutions. And I'm curious as if anybody's ever looked into that or even has any visions towards it or what?
I know within the last, I want to say 3, 4, possibly 5, but the last 3 to 5 years, I know that the superintendent before me, she did look into that, but I don't remember exactly why. I know there wasn't a preferable choice to move away from our local employees. But nothing is out of the question, because we've got to get our kids to school. Maybe there's something we could do, separately, but that was being looked at to see, because, this situation, it's not new this year. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I saw with that is, as a business person and as a contractor, we're having a very difficult time finding employees, same as you are with your bus drivers or whatever. It shifts the burden, and I'm just wondering if that burden shift comes with enough palatability, I guess, to look into it. I'm just something that maybe to think outside the box, and I don't know. Because I know we're all struggling. Every one of us here is struggling to try to find qualified, or if not even just qualified, just employees in general. So You know, it was just, and I actually saw it in, I believe in one of those counties in northern Utah. And I saw that whole system was a contracted system, and thought, well, that's something to think about anyway, so.
No, definitely, we've got to look into every possible avenue because we have to get our kids to school.
Chris Bross for the record. I got a couple of questions, and it's early in the school year, so you may not have an answer. But have you noticed at all that attendance has dropped because of the transportation problem? I mean, you say enrollment is pretty consistent, but has attendance dropped because of the transportation issue?
So attendance, we're not far enough in to really see for this year, but I know that we've looked at that, and that's something I've looked at for years past. And I just know specifically of certain situations where that has been an issue, where last year we had a waiting list. This year, we haven't done a waiting list. We're at pretty high capacity on our buses to avoid doing that. Last year, we had to do a waiting list, and for some of those families that they couldn't get their child to school for whatever reason, that attendance was a real issue. And it also, and even if there's older siblings in the home sometimes that could come to school, could walk to school easily, they end up staying home to take care of the younger siblings, that where school's too far away, they don't feel safe for walking. So it is, especially some of ours, the waiting list was not just like within the city limits, it was out, depending upon, once the bus is filled up, everyone else on the waiting list. So, you know, you had some people that are, you know, clear out Mission Road and way out there and stuff, so that's, you know, significant for them, and families that don't have significant financial means with the cost of living and fuel prices, that was a burden. So there is some tied to attendance, definitely.
And
That's
then-
why we're hesitant to increase that walking zone, because then it creates another set of issues that we have to work with, and those might even have harder solutions than cramming our buses full. But one issue we do have right now, though, is with athletic events, and we want to support those and get our kids there, it's having enough drivers to run and do that. And that's, we're trying to be creative, and that's some things we're looking at, because we have looked in the past, we haven't this year yet, but we're probably going to have to look at, you know, contracting out for those things when we don't have enough drivers, but affording those and being able to pay for those is another issue too, because that's pretty significant. Sorry.
Thank you. And then my other question was, the middle school is currently 6 through 8, and high school obviously 9 through 12. And we have some schools in the school district that are, you know, 1st and 2nd grade, some are 3rd and 4th. I think Numa is 5th. Has there ever been any thought put into taking all those schools and making them all a K through 5, so that somebody that's in the 3rd grade doesn't have to drive across town to get to his 3rd grade school? There might be a school building that would be closer for them. And would that help the transportation issue or hinder it or something like that?
That has been and will continue to be considered. Part of the developing the strategic plan and things, I think that topic's going to come up quite a bit. Once I was hired last year in May, I went around to all the schools and met with parents and staff, and that was a topic at every school that was brought up. We were, in the past, we have been that, I don't remember the exact year where we switched to grade level schools, but we were K-6 schools. And either way, there are issues. And so what would happen is we'd have to examine the whole thing and see which is better. I could list you a set of pros and cons for both of them, and they're all valid. I think that kind of depends upon a lot with our community. But personally, I think that if you have a 5th grader going to school and you have a 1st grader going to the same school, they're going to walk together. But if you have a 1st grader going, you're not going to let them walk most of the time. And so it could have an impact. The other issue with that, though, is that when you look at how our schools are laid out, the neighborhood school concept kind of isn't there, because we have 2 elementary schools right almost next to each other at Newman EC Best, and then we have Lahontan way over on the other side. So there's a lot of area. Well, we have North Side. So we're laid out, but we're also limited a bit, and we also have to meet state requirements with certain things so that we don't create an equity issue in any of our schools.
Understood. Thank you.
And back to that point again, so it's funny because it seems like you might be coming full circle. When I was a kid growing up here, all of our grammar schools were K through 6, 7th and 8th at EC Best, and then you went on to high school. And at that time, high school had the capacity enough, so you actually went 7th through 9th at EC Best and then on. But what I was wondering about, what if you were to maybe, if this was something that the community was looking at, could West End be brought back in? Could some more classrooms be added to that and make that one to kind of help break that area up a little bit that's in between all there? Just a thought, you're thinking outside the box here?
Yeah, I don't feasibly know if the existing building could be. I was a teacher at West End when its last year was open. I was forced to transfer to another school, but that's where I started, and that's where I taught for several years. And so I was kind of kept up on the topic with West End when it was closed down. I don't know the details, so this is me speculation and what I was told at the time. I know that there would be significant expense in getting it back to school shape. It was changed a lot. I think that in order to have kids there again, there may have to be quite a bit of things taken out, older things and stuff. I don't know if there was all the remediation stuff was done that needed to be in there in order to have kids occupy the school. That I don't know, so we'd have to look and see, but it is a possibility. At the very least, it is a plot of land in a good area of town. But then you're talking.
More centrally located
Yeah.
than, say, Newmont.
Yeah.
Mr.
Hey,
Patterson?
Dean Patterson, for the record. Hi, I just had a couple points to share with you. So as the planner here in the county, I review a lot of projects, and some of them are big projects. And like last year, we had a large planned unit development and then a large apartment complex come in. So when those come into play, I'll probably coming to knock on your door to see if the school has any input about issues. So for example, they had, when the previous superintendent was here, we talked about how school bus pickups would happen in a large apartment complex, that kind of thing. But then we're also doing our master plan update in the coming year or so. And so I don't know what your planning might involve, but if it involves like new school sites or something like that, we'd certainly like to be involved with some of that so we can coordinate our planning and your planning and maybe think ahead about locations.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, and
Yeah.
I'd like to greatly be involved because we do have to make those plans if we're going to see significant growth and increase our students. We don't want to be buying a bunch of mods to put out. We want to be prepared.
Yep. I believe our growth is coming, and it's coming small right now, but I think we're gonna just show up one day and here it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So we would definitely want to be prepared, your side, our side, everybody.
Yeah.
Going back to the transportation, is it possible that the school district just hires bus drivers that just do sporting events and they're not really a bus driver, but,
Yes.
and just, that's a part-time job for
We
them?
actually have been trying to recruit coaches, parents, anyone who wants that. We'll train them. We'll pay them to be trained. We'll train them. We'll set them up for the test and do that. But if we have parents or things that can get the appropriate licensure and go through the training that's required and do that, just for field trips or just for trips, we would definitely, yeah.
That's good to know for those who have CDLs that maybe just have one that need to do something,
Yeah.
so. All right, anybody else? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I can't think of this time. Just thank you for letting me be here tonight, and glad to share what we're doing and to learn about all the things going on.
Well-
We're looking forward to the next meeting when all of you have been in 6 months or so.
Yeah, so you have a lot to say.
No more new
But,
people.
welcome to our meeting, welcome to your new position, and our county's door's always open. These guys here will always be welcome to help you out.
All right, thank you.
And then just to add a note, segueing into what you said, so we have these joint meetings twice a year, and everybody will kind of be everybody here is new. So as with this one here, you guys will get notified, and if you have something to share, by all means, please come down.
Thank you.
And Director Spross, do you have something you'd like an update for the county?
Yeah, I will, Chris
Hold it
Sprouse
to-
for the record. I'll talk a little bit about public works and capital improvements, and then if Dean would like to add something for planning, he may do so at his leisure. So just some of the building, excuse me, some of the building projects we have going on. So last week, we received the 50% design drawings for the courthouse. So we're in the process of reviewing those. Those have gone out to the stakeholders that are involved in that, and we actually have a meeting on Thursday to discuss those plans. Same thing, we got this 50% design drawings for the tenant improvements on the CC building. As you guys are aware, the public defenders will, or sorry, the prosecutors or the district attorneys will be moving into that building to kind of create a justice complex in and around that whole area. The 50% design drawings for the new CAPS building, I'm supposed to have those by the end of August. So we'll be sending those out to stakeholders for review and comment. The drum building, which is intended to be converted to the new CART complex. We're still going through some funding battles with the powers that be on that. But that is designed to house the new, not the new, that'll be the new home for CART. If you guys are aware, CART right now is parking their trucks and buses over at the Rafter 3C building, and they're operating out of the multipurpose building, and that is a temporary situation. So we're working through some funding issues with NDOT and FHWA to get that approved. The Central Nevada Health District, which was created back on July 1st, the county just recently purchased a couple buildings on South Main Street. And so we're going to be having to do some minor tenant improvements on one of the buildings and some considerable tenant improvements on the other buildings. And that in the future is going to house Central Nevada Health District and likely social services as well. So those are kind of some of the buildings that I'm working on. In terms of public works, the RV dump station is coming along. They've got all the underground in with the exception of the holding tank. And that holding tank is due here at the end of the week, and then they'll be able to,
Rafter 3C?
no, it's over by the tennis courts. And then they'll be able to finish up the concrete and then do the asphalt. The green sand media replacement for the Sand Creek Water Treatment Plant was finalized or finished a couple of weeks ago. We've reduced our arsenic to a level below 5. Which is more than half of what it was. And so that is working great for us. The last green sand media that we put in was when we built the plant back in 2007. And so that was at the end of its lifespan. So the wastewater reclamation facility out at Moody, we have to replace the xenon membranes there. Those two have had a life that has outlasted what they are designed for, but we were running the plant at about 33% capacity. But some of the filter strands are starting to degrade, and so those membranes are going to show up shortly after the Labor Day long weekend, and the installation is scheduled for the 11th and the 12th of September. So that will be nice. That has been on my capital improvement budget for the last 3 years, not knowing exactly when we'd have to replace them. So this year's the year. The preliminary engineering report for the secondary water treatment plant at the golf course is scheduled to be complete in October. We are on the priority list with the state revolving fund to get some funding for that from them. And we also applied with ARPA to get some funding through that program as well. So once we have the PER done and everybody knows that we've spent some money and have skin in the game, then we'll be able to aggressively go after a few more funding opportunities for that. I'm sure there's more things that I'm missing, but that's what I wrote down from what I could remember this afternoon.
Chris, Jeff Goings again for the record, on 3 different questions, all mostly for curiosity. As far as the RV dump station, that holding tank, does that work similar to a septic system? Is that how that works? Or does that tank have to be?
No, what it is, it's a septic holding tank. And so the from the drains inside the bays, it goes to the holding tank to let some of the solids settle out before it discharges into the manhole and then down to the lift station over at the
Oh, okay.
fairgrounds.
So it's lifted back into,
So,
okay.
so it literally is a septic tank.
Okay.
They were just having a hard time getting somebody to commit to when it was going to be poured and delivered, so.
Okay, then on to the green sand. So this green sand, sounds to me like you're just basically replacing that green sand with a new green sand.
That's
How,
correct.
how long does it, how long does that take? How long should it take?
It should take, we had 3 vessels that we had to do, and by the time you remove the old green sand media and all the layered aggregates that are in it, go in and touch up any of the areas that have started to rust a little bit. Then you have a 7-day epoxy curing time before you can actually put water back in. So the actual work itself takes about 4 days per vessel, but you have certain waiting periods in between there where you can't do a lot. There were some things that we replaced while we were in there. And so all in all, it took us about a month and a half to do. We did it with our utility operator, who has other things that he needs to be doing, so we scheduled a lot of the work on the weekends. But for the first vessel, we actually had the vendor who designed our water treatment plant and who supplies the green sand media for our first vessel. We had them come down and walk us through the process, and then the other 2 vessels we did ourselves. So
Oh, cool.
it worked out very well. I was very proud of the guys that did the work. It was a lot of, the vessels are inside of a building. It's a lot of back-breaking work when you have to haul in all those bags of media and gravel and sands, and they did a phenomenal job.
And then on the wastewater treatment lining, what do you project there?
But that's a 2-day job.
2 days.
Basically, all you're doing is pulling the old cassettes out. We'll hose everything down, do an inspection. We already know we got to replace an air line because it has a leak, and then we just drop the new cassettes in.
Cool. Good. So very little impact on the system at all. As far
There
as the customers.
There really won't be any. We will pump over to our overflow pond for a day and a half, and then we'll have everything back online.
Well done.
Is there a timeline for the construction of all the projects that you mentioned? Are they like within the next 1 year, the next 2 years?
Well, some of the buildings that we have that are being grant funded, they have a sunset on them, and most of them expire 2026. So we have to have this done. For example, the Central Nevada Health District work has to be done by 2026. Some of the other buildings are all intertied together, and what I mean by that is, to build our new courthouse, we have to demo the old sheriff's office, or the old bank building. The sheriff still uses a couple of offices in there, and so we've got to put him someplace temporarily before we can demo that building. So there's a few milestones that have to be hit from one before the other one can start. I anticipate we're going to be going out to bid on the courthouse probably spring of next year. It's an intricate building. It's not like building, the Rafter 3C. So I would anticipate, 12 to 18 months to construction and close out for that. The tenant improvements on the CCCOM building, I generally look at that as probably early spring of next year going out for that. That's tenant improvements. That'll go relatively quickly. I anticipate maybe 6 months to get that done. And then the CAPS building, it is a pre-engineered building. We already have the building. So once the design is done, we'll go out to bid on that, and I wouldn't anticipate more than maybe 5 or 6 months to get that constructed as well. So that is all barring that contractors are wanting to come to work. It's hard to get contractors to come to work right now because they're dealing with labor shortages just like everybody else is. For a job like the district courthouse, that's a sizable job, and you're likely going to be looking for contractors that may be building contractors that may be coming from out of the area. if those guys are busy, they're gonna wanna stay in their own area, so it might be a challenge to get somebody to come in, but we'll do our best to get people excited about it, so.
All right.
And Dean,
Mr.
do you have
Pabst?
anything planning?
Not too much. I just mentioned that there were going to be, well, next year, we're talking about doing update on the master plan. And so if you recall, the last master plan update, we did a very comprehensive update, so I don't expect too much needing to be done on it. Conversely, there's a number of things in the master plan that says you should do this. You know, one being, you know, a better development for the Hazen area. We have the checkerboard project that is coming around because of the Navy range expansion. So we'll be getting lands to fix the checkerboard problem in the northwest area of the county. So that'll need some work, things like that. Transfer of development rights, fixing some of the problems there is one of the items in the master plan. Fixing our zoning that doesn't really match what is actually happening in an area, those kinds of things. And so instead of like updating the plan itself, it will probably be more like undertaking some of those big tasks that were identified in the plan.
All right. To the master plan. Okay, go ahead.
Chris just reminded me, kind of going along with that, we'll probably have quite a few code amendments to kind of implement things that happen, that get developed on those projects. So a lot of smaller fixes too.
Okay. Consider, or the master plan, who's invited to those meetings to help review the master plan and make the changes?
They happen normally at a workshop kind of like this, but when we're in an update cycle, they probably are more like once a month. So a regular planning commission meeting and then a workshop meeting. And when we identify stakeholders, we reach out to them. And of course, they have the normal advertising in the newspaper and stuff like that too.
Okay, so when we're in the master plan, the entities that are involved, you sort of reach out to them to make sure that they know that they would be welcome to part of that conversation.
Right.
Okay.
And the public is invited at all times.
Oh, yeah.
correct?
And then maybe on the planning side, I know a few weeks ago, the Navy spoke that they had, they were going to start a new housing development of 280 homes, right? Didn't we talk about that somewhere?
That was at the last workshop.
And do you know if that's, how soon that's coming? I think it was 280 homes, right, or was it 280 acres?
I think it's in the works, but I don't know that they're ready to break ground yet. But it's going to be north of the existing housing area outside the main gate.
And I think it was 170 homes that they were doing north of that. They had, you know, over the last 5 years, they had demoed a bunch of their old
Yep.
and built a bunch of new. And maybe the 280 is the total that they're gonna have, but I think they were talking about north of the guard shack or the
Yeah,
passing decal, that there was gonna be 170 of them.
but these are all going to be new homes,
Correct.
Not
I think that, I
replacing.
think that land is vacant right now.
okay?
And according to what she had said at that meeting, that is the end of their land. They have no more land. So to be able to build that residential on that, at that time, that's what she was discussing. So I was curious because at our last meeting here, they'd showed some interest in that piece of ground that came up in one of our meetings. And I was just curious if anybody's heard any more about that, if that maybe is where they're looking to do that. Or does that just be straight buffer ground?
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot about it lately. I think right now the Navy's focus too is on the expansion. And so there hasn't been a lot of talk about, I mean, they go hand in hand, but there hasn't been a lot of talk about it since the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add? Does anyone have any questions for anyone that may have spoken? Is there any public comment? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
So the master plan, that
Oh.
was called.
Being recorded,
So the master plan was done, was it 2015? So that's the updated, or when was the last time it was?
Last time it was done was in 2020. We do our master plan every 5 years.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
2024, ironically, we have 12 chapters in our master plan. So every month, we kind of have a workshop for that chapter. And so 2024 is going to be dedicated to really those 12 months of those 12 chapters. And then it usually takes us a month or two just to pull it together and get it in front of the Planning Commission and then the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, because I just seen it online and it just said 2015 master plan.
Yeah,
That was the only one was on.
There's, the 2020 is on there as well.
Okay,
And if-
thank you.
If you'd like a hard copy, does the office have a hard copy that they could give her if she was to come by? So if you come by, they could probably give you one,
Okay.
of the current one. Okay, if, anyone else have anything? Is there any, did I say public comment? Then the meeting's adjourned, 7:32 PM. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Bring others with you next time.
We appreciate